Yo, welcome back to H&A Reactions. I'm about to begin part 2 of How Strong is Pretty Cure. Yo, I'm really digging this anime, bro. I like it. I had to go somewhere, pick up my wife from work. As you can see by the face mask or whatever. Never leave home without it. But then I'm back. Also, I wanted to make this into a 2-part thing because of the minutes. It's 34 minutes and 28 seconds. So I was like, that will be a long ass video if I decided to go all the way through with it, non-stop. So I made it into 2 parts. But so far so good. I'm really liking this. I never heard of Pretty Cure until today. So yo, I'm ready to jump in, bro. Let's go.
Also know about the parallel worlds and likely wouldn't let them off the hook, considering he wanted the Prism Stone so he could have still, quiet darkness. Again, this is just their passive power, not even remotely close to them trying or their full power. They get even stronger by fusing into Majin. Rainbow Bracelet cures Stomp Majin, Dark King absorbs Majin and slaps the Rainbow Bracelet cures, and finally, Poron gives his full power to the Rainbow Bracelets, which is strong enough for the cures to win. This speed is actually even more impressive given the fact that they would likely destroy the entire space-time continuum. To quickly go over why that's impressive, that would mean they are also destroying time, aka something of a higher dimension.
Hold on! Don't you remember when you met Zero Lady Tokimi? You were so far outside Zero's sphere of knowledge that she couldn't believe you existed.
According to the laws of the lower dimensions, the existence of any higher dimension is a theoretical impossibility, beyond her comprehension.
That is, destroying a single time-space of universal size is infinitely more powerful than destroying infinite numbers of universes. Yes, fiction has different tiers of infinity. Infinity plus 1 is in full effect. The cures are without a doubt this level when it comes to using Miracle Lights, as even a small amount of the Miracle Lights allow the DokiDoki cures to travel to the future. They could also scale to this in their base in the All-Star films, as they needed about the same amount of Miracle Lights to beat Fusion for the first time, and he temporarily held back their combination attack. Then, during the fight against what should have been a stronger Fusion in New Stage, the cures beat him in base without any trouble. A quick aside is that this might also suggest the cures have been measured speed with Miracle Lights, as they have the time-traveling power fueling them. Okay, they're that level in All-Stars, but what about my claim about the universal feat involving time? Well, here are a few reasons to think that time is involved. As I mentioned before, the cures can move in frozen time, so they have a connection to time. Secondly, these feats cause rips and tears in space itself. The theory of space-time is that space and time are linked, so affecting one on a grand scale would naturally affect the other on a similar scale. The equalizing of the time differences between the 3 universe-sized realms is really the big reason for thinking this. Equalizing the time of separate time spaces would be the level we're looking for, and that happens to be in this series. The Dark Zone beings were 100 years behind Mipple as they were affected by the time differences of Earth and the Garden of Light. Yet no time gap like that happens to them again despite there clearly being times when none of them were on Earth. More explicitly, it is directly stated that the reason why the Garden of Light's time and Earth times become equal was because of Poron's power. Poron's power is used for the Rainbow Bracelets and later for Shining Luminous. Luminous later also uses the power of Lilith to amp herself with the power to create, and use the Heartseal Brooch to create stronger barriers.
Don't know how the
A reminder that Lilith is Poron's sister, so it's likely she has time abilities as well, which is even supported by the titles the two have. Prince of Light that leads to the future for Poron, and Princess of Light leading the future for Lilith. Even with this amp, Black and White are usually above Luminous and base. With all this, I think it is clear that time is involved in this feat, meaning it would be at least Universal Plus going on with the versus battle tier. Now that that feat is more or less wrapped up, I wanted to bring up another subject of power in Pretty Cure. Infinite power. I know Universal Plus could technically be considered that already, but I want to go over the statements of infinite power in the series. First, we need to establish that infinity actually means infinity. I know that may sound weird, but infinity doesn't always mean infinity in anime/manga.
It can literally just mean very great, right? And that's also another thing with infinite, especially in Japanese stories. They use infinite, omnipotent, all that stuff a lot, and it just means very great. Sometimes it can even mean strongest in the verse or strongest in existence.
Brown hair and the yellow hair.
You do need to take that kind of interpretation into account when you're considering these.
With an episode title like "All Hearts Are One, I Am the Strongest Pretty Cure," For the episode where Infinite Silhouette shows up, you might think it's just using the greatest power interpretation. While that could be the case, we do get some clarity in Fresh Pretty Cure. When describing what Infinity, the unlimited memory, is, Setsuna gives this example.
たくさん野菜を入れようとしても、袋が小さいと破れてしまうでしょ。でももしそれが無限に入る袋だったら、その袋がインフィニティってことね。メビウスがインフィニティを手に入れたら、全世界を自分の管理下に置くなんてたやすいことよ。
This is the definition of infinite, so with that out of the way, let's see the different infinite scaling we can get. First, the fact that Mobius, a supercomputer, thought the best way to rule over all the parallel worlds was to use Chiffon, who is infinity, leads to some interesting conclusions about how many parallel universes there are. Either it was just so vast a number, and remember this would be vast for a highly advanced supercomputer, that infinity was the most efficient choice, or there are an infinite number of parallel universes, which is somewhat implied with Love's continued reflection in the parallel world explanation. This would adjust the Futari feat I mentioned before, making them anywhere from multiversal, which is 1001 to any higher finite amount of separate spacetime continuums, to multiversal plus, which is to destroy an infinite amount of separate spacetime continuums. In All-Stars DX2, the Rainbow Jewel is stated to create infinite power. Bottom obtains the jewel and then is defeated by the Rainbow form Cures, which they obtain from an amusement park's worth of people using the Miracle Lights. In DX3, the Cures themselves are much stronger and obtain a stronger version of the Rainbow forms from everyone on the planet using a Miracle Light. So, they surpassed infinite power in DX2, and then they largely surpassed themselves in DX3, and that's not even accounting for the fact that there are 4 more Cures in DX3 than in DX2. Heartcatcher Pretty Cure provides us the most blatant statements of infinite power. This is obviously the case for Infinite Silhouette, who is stated repeatedly to have infinite power in the anime, the official website, the manga, and likely the light novel. I say likely as the light novel is not translated up to that part, but I don't see why they would change it, especially given a statement from the novel. She was so powerful that even the usually collected Yuri got a bit of a power high after the final battle against Dune. As Infinite Silhouette is the fusion of the Cures, or a combination of these powers in the manga, then even with it being an exponential increase, part of infinity is still infinity, so even the base Heartcatcher Cure should have infinite power, just on a lower tier. Whether you believe the Heartcatcher Cures ever scale above Infinite Silhouette in the All-Star films is debatable, as we aren't given anything definitive to say they have or haven't. The closest we have is the revived villains in DX3 stating they will showcase Black Hole's almighty power as they power up, only to be easily defeated by the Cures. Black Hole had the power of all the previous enemies the Cures faced, and we see that the beings he creates return to him, which would mean the energy Bottom had with the Rainbow Jewel went to him after DX2. He even temporarily held back the power of the Rainbow form Cures, so I believe it's fair to say he is above Infinite Silhouette. Even if the minions don't have his full power, they would still be insanely strong and at least put the Heartcatcher Cures on the path to surpass Infinite Silhouette by the next few movies. If you don't believe that scale, it is at least likely that the Heartcatcher Cures scale above full power Dune, who they needed to become Infinite Silhouette to beat. They were able to beat him up before he transformed, so it makes sense that after so much time has passed, they would be past his transformation, and this is supported by a similar thing happening with another Cure team. In Doki Pretty Cure, the Cures needed to transfer their powers and the powers of the 3 Sacred Treasures to Cure Heart so she could defeat Selfish Proto. Quite like the Heartcatcher Cure,
so the anime
if not
still
more
going?
With the inclusion of the Sacred Treasures.
So let me know,
Pantheon mode Cure Heart stronger than Infinite Silhouette?
Hey, I'm
sure that suggestion won't piss anyone off. Back on topic, in All-Stars Miracle Magic, Cure Miracle, the newest Cure, can beat up Selfish Proto in base with no amps. So, if that is the case for DokiDoki, then it is reasonable that the Heartcatcher team would surpass Dune. If it were just the anime, that would be it, but the official website's and light novel reveals a few other interesting statements. The website states that Dark Pretty Cure has immeasurable power. Said immeasurable power is equaled by and then surpassed by Cure Moonlight, who then also goes on to easily deal with a stronger Dark Pretty Cure, only having trouble when Dark Pretty Cure was getting help, and when she was having psychological issues from a certain revelation. Following them getting from translation notes of the Heartcatcher Pretty Cure light novel, so take it with a grain of salt. That being said, the first chapter is translated and it does match with what the notes say, so I do have faith in them. According to the notes, Dune made a deal with the devil. Huh. Those desert devils make more sense now. Anyway, and he was granted infinite power. Prime Cure Flower matched a fully powered Dune, and the Heartcatcher Cures were winning against a Dune who had regained his powers until he transformed and started punching the planet. And as I mentioned above, they should surpass him in the All-Star films. How many times beyond infinity is that? Oh yeah, the Heartcatcher Mirage is also stated to have infinite power, so there's also that. So yeah, beyond Universal, into multiverses, and infinite power. Tough girls indeed. And to think, Black and White had to work together to stop an elevator from falling in episode 2. Simpler times. Oh, who am I kidding? The Universal feat I keep mentioning is from the same season, and it would still be absurdly powerful even if I didn't incorporate later seasons. With the tier of strength and speed given, now all that's left is to look at the progression. At the beginning of Max Heart, Black and White get their powers back and they notice they're stronger than before. Just how much stronger did they get? They surpassed their enhanced final attack from the last season. Valdez being stated to be their strongest opponent multiple times certainly helps, though that kind of skews that level of power with the sparkle bracelets rather than their new base forms. Really, it is a simple matter of reasoning. Poron was the one who granted the Cures the rainbow bracelets, which took them beyond Majin's level, and whose full power allowed them to surpass the Amp Dark King in the end. That same Poron is stated to have gotten stronger, like Meppel and Meppel did, and now is using his full power all the time with Hikari. Hikari, being a person who has the power of light already, with said power of light being part of the power of light that was from the Queen of Light, who was stronger than the base Cures in the original series. Thus, Shine Luminous would be at least on the power level of the Rainbow Bracelet Cures. However, Black and White wouldn't be shocked by that level of power as they would have experienced it before, meaning it was something stronger than anything they felt before. Yep, they start the new season stronger than their strongest attack at the end of the last season. As for growth, they go from being at a disadvantage in fighting the Dark Denizens in physical combat to matching them individually twice. Then, there is the end of Max Heart. Valdez tanks a Marble Screw Max Sparkle and then powers up, revealing he is now fused with the resurrected Dark King. Previously, the other Denizens got a Dark Glow that brought them to the level of the Sparkle Bracelet Cures, so Valdez's power-up should at least be that, if not much stronger. After regaining their will to fight for a second time, the Cures with their Sparkle Bracelets are able to push through Valdez's attack, and push him back with just punches to the point where he powers up further and becomes the fully resurrected Dark King. That means the Cures surpass the boost of the Sparkle Bracelets and the power of the Marble Screw Max Sparkle in the span of the same fight. As Luminous is shown later in the franchise being on par with Black and White, she obviously catches up with them. As for full power New Dark King, he was only equaled by the resurrected Queen of Light, and beaten by the Cures working with her, Luminous saying there was no other way. So full power Newt Dark King and resurrected Queen of Light skill well above what would have been a even stronger Extreme Luminario Sparkle. I know that's the attack they used to beat him, but that was with Luminous as part of the Queen. Keep that in mind. Now onto the All-Star films. How much stronger do the Cures get here? Seasons worth of growth. Each All-Star film has the new team only just starting out, with the films usually being released around episodes 6 to 9. Said new team helps out in the film, then goes on to experience a whole season's worth of powering up, and yet the older teams are still able to fight alongside them, or are superior to them. That means they at least experience those same boosts in power. This even applies to crossovers they aren't in, as Black and White weren't in Dream Stars or Superstars, but appeared in Hugto 3 separate times, and each time were portrayed as being stronger than the Hugto Cures. All the growth of each season, surpassing their own special attacks, going beyond their own transformations, losing to an enemy only to defeat a far stronger foe, every new power achieved. There is even an entire episode dedicated to Elena and Madoka breaking their limits, and it scales to every Cure. I'm not going to cover the growth from each season as that would take forever, so what I'm going to do is go over the few times where a multiplier has actually been stated for growth, and then cover 2 notable power boosts in the All-Star films. In Heartcatcher Pretty Cure, the Desert Apostle Generals get the Dark Bracelets, which amp them and the Desert Trian. Cicerina is given the other Dark Bracelets for a total of 3, resulting in 3 times the power of darkness. The Cures couldn't do anything to this enhanced Desert Trian except for their final group attack, the Heartcatch Orchestra. The Cures would scale above this 3 times multiplier from the following. Cure Flower, who easily beat a Desert Trian who had the power of the 2 generals, and thus 2 Dark Bracelets, meaning it would have similar power to Cicerina's. Cure Flower is taken down without much effort by a Dune who still had his power sealed, and then the main Heartcatch team faces off against a Dune with his powers unsealed. In DokiDoki Pretty Cure, the Blood Ring Selfish are stated to be 10 times stronger and 5 times faster than the regular Selfish. Hey, There's that power division I mentioned way back at the beginning of the video. Anyway, the DokiDoki cures scale well above this, as Cure Diamond in base unintentionally one-shotted a Blood Ring Selfish, and they still had over 10 episodes left to grow. You could also say they have an over 5 times boost post-series. The result form was what they initially used to beat the combination Selfish, which are stated to be 5 times stronger than a normal Selfish. So it should be around that much of an increase, and it should also apply to speed, as we saw them get faster. The Cures thought the only way to beat Proto-Selfish was to transfer all their powers and the power of the Sacred Treasures to Cure Heart, meaning Proto would be well over 5 times. As I mentioned earlier, base Cures fought him and won in All-Stars.
Yo, they
putting those
probably
multipliers
give
together, and overall
Sailor
DokiDoki
Moon,
Cures,
Goku,
with the exception of Curies as her base scale to the result form, getting over 50 times stronger and over 25 times faster. Finally, in Hugtoki Cure, we have Ruru stating that Ishin and Listel's current power exceed Dr. Trum's by orders of magnitude. For those who need a reminder of what that means, an order of magnitude is an order of 10. So, 10, 100, 1000, etc. As Ruru said orders, that means at bare minimum they were 100 times stronger than Dr. Trum. This isn't a hyperbolic statement, as Ruru is an android whose specialty is analyzing things, and Dr. Trum, her creator, agrees with her assessment. So Bishin and Listel individually would be about 50 times stronger than Dr. Trum. Do the Cures scale to this? Yes, though not to the full 50. Probably more like 40 times stronger for them. While Trum would always use mechas or wild Oshimidas, it is darkly stated that Trum's first Berserker Rampage back in the two-parter crossover that temporarily caught all the Cures was caused by Trum using his own Toge power and growing in strength. So his power can be compared to the Cures at that time, even if he is weaker, hence the Cures not receiving the full 50 times. With the numbers out of the way, let's head into All-Stars proper with the 2 big boosts. The first one comes from the first DX film in regards to Fusion. Fusion, before absorbing any power from the Cures, is stated a threat to all the fairies' homeworlds, including fairies from the Garden of Light. This is continued later when Meppel refers to Fusion as unlike anything we fought before, to which Meppel follows up by saying she can sense a terrible power from him. The indication is that Fusion surpassed End of Max Heart Dark King and Queen of Light. Then comes the Fresh Cures, who in this film are the newest and weakest of the Cures. Not only can they face this Fusion, but they can actually affect Fusion after he's absorbed attacks from the Max Heart, Splash Star, and Yes 5 Cures. The final boost is one from DX2 to DX3. In DX2, the Dark Minions were overpowering the Cures and then receive an amp. Said amp allowed Kitolowski to easily overpower Cure Black, who had just equipped the Sparkle Bracelets. Jump over to DX3, where the minions and their amp should be stronger since they were made by the guy who made the big bad of DX2, and yet the Sweet Cures, at the time the weakest Cures, won their beam struggle without much trouble. So, it boosted well over the power of the Sparkle Bracelets, and you'll recall just how strong I said that should be. And that's it. I sure went over a lot, didn't I? I am happy I made this video, as it gave me the opportunity to share the feats I love. With some of the feats I mentioned, like moving the stars in the Maho manga, it would be interesting to see how each season stacks up when you don't account for All-Stars, which I know some people do. I don't think I'll do individual power scaling videos for them, except maybe whatever the current season is if I feel like it. I do have another video in mind about the extra Cures, but who knows when that'll happen. Anyway, I hope...
Alright, man, that was the end of the video, bro. I really enjoyed it. 34 minutes, 26 seconds of it. And that's one of the reasons I had to split it down in 2 parts, bro. But I really enjoyed this video. Now you got me eager to watch it. Thank you for recommending this Blaze Runner Sama 4.0, I believe again. I hope you sub, and if you did, man, keep recommending these types of videos, man. I really appreciate it. Anyways, bro, peace.